start the day with the celebration playing with that.
Guys like that. Big thing what I do, I used to like
I don't know which day it was. Huh? Ready? Sure. You're not going to sleep with children. Go with the thing about it. Ready? Good morning, everybody. Good morning again. The board of election, St. Croix District, is now called to order. Before we proceed, I'd ask everybody to put their phone on my vehicle. Morning. Ready now? We call the room, please, Mr. Secretary.
Mr. Delbert M. Brand.
Here.
Mr. Roland Molnar. Present. Mrs. Lisa Harris Moorhead. I'll be the session. Mrs. Liliana Bernardo Villanil. Mr. Rupert W. Ross Jr. Here. Mr. Glenn Webster. Mr. Raymond Williams. Chairman, we have 6 members present, 1 member absent.
Thank you. Everybody have a good agenda? Anyone don't have one? Again, good morning. Anyone in the audience wishes to put your name on the record, please?
James Wilson.
Evelyn Baxton, concerned citizen.
Anyone else?
Marvin Forbes with the VI Action Group.
Anybody from the media here?
Clifford Williams.
Let's put up your hand. We need a name. The more you put up your hand, we need a name if you need from the media.
Okay. Lasiba Nate from the same campus.
Luciba?
Lasiba.
Lasiba, okay. Night.
Susan Ellis, with the St. Louis Source.
St. Louis Source.
What's the name from St. Croix Source?
Susan
Susan
Ellis.
Ellis.
Susan Ellis.
Yes.
Anybody else? Let's get another source in Canada. Put the name down because drinking business can't change anything. Even us stokes they don't use. This morning we have a lengthy or hefty or short, depending on how we move on it. But we had an opportunity this morning. We have one of the representatives from election based on the system, the contractor that have the contract to supply the TS200 and the voting stations along with all the other portions or parts of the thing. So this morning we're later to introduce one of the representatives. Her name is Alexia Scott Morrison.
Yes.
This is a young lady that represents the ES&S. So these are the public that will come and view along with the media. These are new board members. You have Ms. Liliana Bernardo Villanil, today to your right. You have Mr. Webster, and you have Mr. Molino. I'm sure everybody else here, you know them, Mr. Raymond Williams, Mr. Ross, and myself.
Yes.
So basically I just invited them to get a chance as new members to meet and see. So maybe after we finish the meeting, you want to say a few words to them later or whenever you feel
Absolutely. Absolutely.
words when you finish, or during any time you can, if you wish to say a few words to them right now or whenever you've gone through.
I'm just happy to meet you. I had a chance to speak with a gentleman earlier. It would be a pleasure to get to speak with you, and I'm just going to be in working, so
Great.
whenever you would like to speak to me.
Reasons of being here today, according to agreement, is that we are here to ensure an open new machines, the DS200, that I said earlier, with the voting stations and all the other equipment it comes with, so they'll be opening and testing and making sure that the machines or equipment are in proper shape as was shipped. Is that correct?
Yes, make sure everything got here, nothing was broken during shipping, then it's all working as we would expect it
And if
to.
anything is wrong with them, she let us know before she is back, right?
Absolutely.
And then we have to schedule a date for training, come up for the training of the staff, board members and employees.
Correct.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Sure. We also have, Mr. Molino, we had asked some judges that work with the voting before to come in and get a glance on how the machines are being taken out, put together, tested, and inspected by Ms. Morris and our staff. So as the judges come in, they will go in, observe what is going on there, observe what's basically taking place until the day for the training begins, that every one of the board members and the public and the staff will get an opportunity to be trained in the operation and function of the machine. When we're here talking about machines, Mr. Molina was in charge of the relocation and storage of the Donald Hart electronic machines. We relocated from this building to have a clear space in this building to put the new machine. So Mr. Molina, you have a report you want to put together. Show you, did you submit it to everybody? Yeah. So you can proceed with this.
No, I did not.
For the public, if they want to Good morning. I would just like to go into my reporting on relocating old voting machines and securing new Shiptronic, securing the old Shiptronic machine in preparation for ENS testing. There's a typo there. My project was inventory removal and storage. Point of information.
Is that,
This is it?
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I was asking, remember, you had a copy in front of you. Have it?
Yeah, this one.
Does everyone have a copy now?
Yeah, this one.
Okay, all right.
Project inventory and removal and storage of outdated Shiptronic 1242 voting machine. Again, there's a typo in the heading. Date, August 1st, 2013 at 9:30 a.m. to about 3:30 p.m. and also on August 2nd, 2013 at 10:30 a.m. to 12 noon. Activities: undertaking a mandate to inventory, remove and store all outdated Shiptronic voting machines from the St. Croix Board of Elections, Sunny Isles office in Estate Diamond, St. Croix. To place the new DS200 machine at our facility for planned and upcoming acceptance testing to be undertaken by the election system and software ESS on August 7, 2013, and to avoid mixing old machines with new systems. The new systems being the DS200. The following work was done over a period of several days, starting from August 1st, 2013 to August 5th, 2013. Options. The options were to remove machines from all polling stations, assigned machines stored at the Board of Elections office, Sunny Isles office, and store them away from the premises. Inquiries were made for storage facilities at Sun Self Storage in Estate Lorraine. Sun Self Storage quoted a cost of approximately $1,400 per month for the assigned space to store all machines with an initial deposit of approximately $2,900. Alternative inquiries were made to locate a less expensive means of storage for the storage of the outdated machines. The Fleming Transport Company stored the DS200 Shiptronic, the DS200 and the Shiptronic machines for the board and submitted a letterhead for request to store the removed outdated machines at a cost of $850 per month with no initial deposit required. The process. 1. A chain of custody form was created for use in identifying all voting stations, machines located at the Board of Elections, Suniel's office. I'll pass the chain of custody around so you guys, so the board can see it. 2. It was determined that there were a total of 93 outdated Shiptronic machines, 12 Shiptronic machines, the 1242 voting machine, and a total of 9 boxes of parts fittings for those machines. 3. Pictures were taken of the room as it was initially found, containing all machines and parts. You can see that in appendix number 1 on those pictures. Be aware that appendix 1 and appendix 2 is the same. Then 4. Then sorted, identified and total machines by polling station as follows. As the list here shows, does the chairman want me to read through? Okay.
Unless somebody
Yeah.
wants to put something other way.
I don't think it needs reading.
I'm saying it's optional if board members want to waive the reading,
Yeah,
individually as yourself,
so
go ahead and read the machines. I want to make sure that, my intention is when I'm finished, if anybody in the meeting public has a report, I can give it to them because of all of us. So if you want to save some time,
so
motion is made, is seconded. Did I hear a second?
Second.
Any objection?
Inquiry, what are we,
Motion.
Yes, sir. Member Molina stopped at 4 and hesitated to read this long list. Is
Yes.
that what we're talking about?
That's what
Not
we're talking
reading?
about, correct? Yeah, if you don't mind, if you want, I don't, yeah.
And then the motion is basically that
So
we
wait,
don't
wait.
read this long list and you continue at 5.
Yes.
No,
No,
the motion is to waive the reading.
That was my thinking.
No, to waive the reading.
My belief was that we were waiving the reading of the whole report with the appendixes and the exhibits, and then to say something, so each member will be responsible for reading his or her report from Mr. Molina as the chairman of the committee. Thereafter, this whole report can be handed over to the media or anybody in the public, so they have a right to read and understand that they are present. So in order to save time, Mr. Williams made a motion to waive the reading. I interpreted that to mean the whole complete report. Ms. O'Neill seconded and was asking for any objection, and there was none. I was getting ready to rule that we waive the reading of the whole report and move on to another item. Am I clear?
I got you. My inquiry again was what was this? The essence, extent of the motion. Whether we were going to pause, as I believe
Pause there.
Molina wanted to do,
Mhm.
or whether it was stop reading.
Procedurally, if they waive the reading,
I-
waive the entire reading.
I understand that. Well,
Yes.
we will have to fit to it.
Sure.
I request 2 minutes to continue to finish reading the report since I just
Yeah.
got.
Okay, we can take a 5 minutes recess and come back. So move.
Thank you.
Stand the recess.
Since I just got it.
No problem.
Just hand it to me.
More times to where the reading of the rest of the report.
So take a 5 minute break. Mr. Knight, why don't you look at that short? The recess is over. Mr. Ross, he has some concerns and question.
Just some definition. You made reference to the document.
Okay, sure.
Oh, it's on different pages. So
Okay.
you made reference to the document, the train of custody forms.
I will pass that along.
You filled out, but not part of this report.
Yeah, because it's a original document, and I will make sure that that document is in the board's archives.
Well, that's fine. You also made reference to a letter request from Clemens Transport.
Yeah,
I will get
that document is also at board archives or records.
Okay. Since it was a letter addressed to the board, or
Sure.
can we get a copy of it please, for our records?
You have a copy?
And I don't, in essence of time, unless there's an objection, I could accept it later.
Yeah, there is.
I don't want it.
Yeah, but
I need it. I don't know if anyone wants it.
yeah.
Is this my copy to keep for my records?
No.
Well, I would for you to see, and then we'll make copies.
That's what I was suggesting, that you make a copy.
Yeah, okay.
In your first paragraph of your report, you use the word testing. Is that what's occurring in the room back there?
Yes.
Testing or
Well, the initial conversation, sorry.
Pussy, describe what that's
How the initial conversation that I had was, well, actually, when we had our first, when we first talked about the machines, my understanding was that there was supposed to be training as to what our contract training and the testing of the machine. And I think in the contract it said something about over 18-day period, something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But now there was an email that was sent from ENSS to Sharon and Trisha, and all I spoke to was about them coming here just to do testing for today, for the 7th and the 8th.
And by definition, you mean checking out the machine to make sure that they're working on.
That's correct. Yeah.
That's what this testing refers to.
And make sure there's no damage to any of the equipment.
And last, you made reference to the mandate to conduct this. Is that a mandate that the board is going to authorize or after the fact, or how was this done?
Wait, what's the question again?
He was now he's talking undertaking the mandate to do this. I'm trying to
do what?
To conduct the inventory, moving, store, allocated, etc., etc. I'm
Well,
trying
I
to
could
determine
explain
how this mandate occurred.
The mandate or the organization, the assignment of the subcommittee, I don't know if you forgot or recall that we created subcommittees to perform certain function. We had a committee for ADA compliance, meeting, construction qualification. We had one for administration, which Mr. Molino was the chairperson, along with himself and Mr. Williams, to do just what he was doing with the machine. I think last Friday, Mr. Williams couldn't come because he had a different family. And I asked Mr. Molino to get in touch with both of you. He said he left messages. I can't dispute or confirm that because I did not make those calls. But we had in fact created subcommittees to properly store and remove machines from the building, clear the place, because when I spoke with Mr. Johnson, we decided that Thursday is when the cleaners come to clean the building. So we moved the machine to create the space so that the cleaning contractor could have been able to clean out the space with the electronic machine when we were removing it. And Friday, continue moving the rest. And then yesterday, on Monday, I should say, is when they returned by bringing the new machine called Miss Alexia, the individual who have been here today because they weren't starting St. Thomas Monday, the 5th and the 6th. The 7th and the 8th was the day they were supposed to come here when they were informed through the same email of Ms. Johnson and Ms. Benjamin that they were not coming for training. They were coming to do testing and opening the machine to verify and ascertain if they are in good shape as to a ship. So that is what they're doing there this morning with Alexia and her counterpart. And to carry on the conversation a little further, since we have judges that worked before, I was familiar with Alexia, I asked them if they could come in and observe with the testing and opening the machine. So basically, Mr. Molina, the chairperson of that subcommittee, had instructed him to prepare a complete report on the removal, transportation, securing, and a chain of custody of whatever took place, and that's what he was showing there. So that's what we're talking about here. So that's why you have a copy. Everybody have a copy, and I said, oh yeah, we'll make a copy of this to anybody in the public meeting who wants to look at it. But I am not going to release the chain of custody report to anybody. The chain of custody report remains in the person who conducted the custody and maintained that thing. Reach the court, Mr. Money have to be understand to explain what all he did with the chain of custody report.
Correct.
Because as we know, we have to maintain control of the equipment that was done at least for 2 years, I believe, or a year and X amount of months. So I don't want that the chain of custody be broken and then Mr. Molino or I or you can account for where those machines were stored to be in support of the photographs and location and checking on the equipment. So basically, if there is to be an investigation or challenge from any public or voter or official, whether they Inspector General, whoever, or judge, Mr. Molino will have to show them what how he been doing with his individuals when he started moving machines, when he took them out, when he bring them back, and where they are right now. So that is why Ms. Alexia is here to open the machine. We never opened those machines, even though they've been in at least 2 months. They're actually opening them today.
What you're looking at there is the serial number on each machine, and the government, some had government identification numbers on them, and some had security seals on them. Those that didn't have the security seals, I just put no seal, or seal was broken, and that's it.
I'm not questioning.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying what the numbers that you're looking at.
Let me just so that it's clear where I'm at. At the end of the day, this board, as a board, must act and approve the actions that either we are about to take or we have taken. And I just want to go on record as making sure that happens. Otherwise, what we are going to end up having is that everybody is going to be given an assignment and they go off and do it. And there will be no board sanction or approval of that assignment. So, which leads me to my last question. The $850 per month that we are paying, are we paying that? Have we entered into a contract, right, for that?
My conversation with Mr. Clemens when he called me, basically, he's not going to charge us initially now or for how we have them stored. At least that's how I understood it. But he is going to charge us in the future for when he does start doing the monthly. So right now, in a sense, it's free.
Again, for the record, as the board, if we find this acceptable, and I don't, the board needs to, by its record, etc., approve that this be done. Otherwise, if an invoice comes in requesting payment for this without some authorization, then who is authorized to pay?
Understood.
So I'm just trying to, from where I sit, to tie up some what I consider some loose ends. As it relates to
Before we go any further, hello, before we go any further, we agreed to waive the reading. Took 5 minutes to read the report. Mr. Ross had his concern rightfully so would question the procedure. As I mentioned earlier, when this process of the reporting of the machine being moved, the appropriate thing for us to do is to entertain a motion to approve the function that was completed, to disapprove it as is, because eventually we have to move on to the other portions of discussing the budget, how we need additional funds to pay, because property and procurement advisors, there are no storage places on island St. Croix to store anything. Because remember that property and procurement by law was involved in purchasing the machines after when they determined in 1986 or whatever time they buy the $12.2 Shutran machine. So therefore they too should know where they are, except that the board of election will remain control and in custody of those machines until the legal time for turning them over for disposal or transfer or selling, whatever they want to do with it. So the appropriate time we can entertain a motion if everybody don't have any more questions to accept the moving, storage, and testing of machines that have been done according to along with the chain of custody. So when we finish here, we can have a motion, vote on it, and the majority of us here vote on the approval of the work, because if Mr. Molina was assigned the chairman when he had the members. I don't know, because I know I was here sometimes when he was here, I know what he was doing. And my background, law enforcement must assist and show him if you move something on the property that have any inquiry, you need to have a chain of custody. And that's why he went and got a chain of custody that you can pay. So that anybody, when the time comes, can examine the chain of custody if they have any problem. Mr. Williams?
Yeah, I think I totally agree with everything Mr. Ross said. I just want to add that two things relative to the contractual agreements. I think those
Which contractual agreement?
to store the equipment should be done appropriately through the office of the supervisor, number one. And number two, I think we should wait until the testing and the review of the equipment is completed so that we can incorporate that into the report. And then we have a complete report to make a motion on. So that's what I would recommend.
Well, except Mr. Williams, those are two separate items. Our responsibility here is to store, remove, and bring in new machines in. We already accepted those machines over 2 months when they came in from the States. Nobody opened those boxes. Today, Ms. Alexia and her counterpart is opening those boxes by themselves. They're testing them. They will have to verify to us, according to the contract, they have tested all the machines and equipment and they meet the criteria and certifications that they were required to do. Because I don't know, nobody here is required by law to test the machine or verify that they're tested. Testing and training and operating is 3 different categories for all of us to understand. Because they're the ones that are supposed to test them according to the contract. We don't have a role to play in testing the machine. We pay them, they brought them, they come, they open them, they test them. If they find anything that does not meet the testing requirement, then they will let us know. But I would prefer, it would make much sense to us that we approve our functions here as removing, storing the machines. We don't have a supervisory election to this day. Ms. Wells, I have a letter circulated, you saw a letter from Ms. Wells, but it is circulated here. But she wrote me some time ago telling me that Mr. Washington, the secretary of the joint board, signed and prepared the documents Ms. Fox to prepare. Ms. Fox is not here, she comes in voluntarily, so Ms. Fox is not legally on board to approve or sign any lease agreement with equipment. And again, since we don't have a supervisor election in place for employment, or deputy supervisor in St. Croix, the only person that should have certified anything for the boards according to the signature card that was dated the May 30th before Mr. Weston is able to left is Ms. Sharon Benjamin. So she is the person who will certify payment. So until we have a supervisory election employed by contract and by agreement, we don't have one here or employ a deputy supervisor. So we can address what Mr. Molina did by a vote and a motion today. We don't agree with what Mr. Molina did thus far, but we don't agree. So I'll entertain a motion to address that at the appropriate time when Ms. Alexia and her group is leaving on the 8th to the 9th. We probably let Ms. Johnson, one of us, know that she has tested all the machines and they are in shape. So from that day on, we are responsible to make sure that no one accesses the machine or interferes with the machine. And when something comes back again, she comes back to train. She said, well, hey, test this machine. The report said all was tested. Machine A, B, C, and D not working. Who was in there? And I'm not going to be the one opening the machine to test it. I'm going to wait until Ms. Alexia and her counterpart come back.
I see without a diatribe that I know about that.
No, no, diatribe is a-
Yeah, it is. My single point was to add to what Member Ross said. That was my single point. Everything you said I understand. I just wanted to make sure that, you know, the machine, the custody machines are here present. They're opening them, they're testing them and checking them out, saying this. I don't want to make a motion prematurely until all of that process is complete. That's
So
my-
what do you recommend the motion? Comment, Mr. Mahoney. What would you recommend the
my
motion?
motion would be to accept the report.
Yes, report.
Right, but with the addendum that.
Yeah,
No, wait, no, right now, I just asked you that question. But with the understanding that after this process is complete, that addendum be added to the report that we have before us. Okay?
Well, basically you're saying you're willing to make a motion, accept the report of work that was done as is, providing further that when the completion of the testing of the machine, we have a complete report and vote again for that motion. As a deadline.
That's what you understand?
Ms. O'Neill?
Point of information to the chair, Mr. Chairman. Any one of us can make an amendment to change or
Change
to
what, the
do
report?
something to the report. that we might-
Well, what they're going to change in the report is what he have there, you mean what Mr. Mahoney prepared to change it?
I mean, is there any way that we can amend with our concerns?
You question the concern, but you can probably provide that these things added to it that you can say was there, but his report and findings are complete report of what he did.
I
So
know,
anything
I know,
added to that will be
but what I'm
discussed.
saying is if any one of us have an amendment to add something, is that acceptable?
Well, depending on this is Jermaine to what the report is about.
Exactly.
No problem.
My next question regarding Mr. Member Williams. Once we accept this report today, the next report will be an addendum to this report.
Right.
But I would, and again, hold up because everybody needs to digest it. So if there's any additional information that we need to feed back to Member Molinar, so he can make whatever corrections and stuff like that. We can either do that or we
Well,
will
my
make a.
preference would be chairing the committee. And Mr. Molina completed the report that was supposed to be completed and functioned as himself and two other individuals. For whatever reason, they were not available. I don't have no control, that he didn't have no control. So if he now completed the movement of the machine and stored the machine, we can only approve what he tells us he did. I was here and other people were here when he was in and out of the building. So that's all I can speak to the building. I was here, Ms. Johnson saw us here, other people saw us came in here, the sewing machines were moved. People from Fleming Transport, they came, moved, went back, and they didn't go through the back, they came through the front, correct, Ms. Johnson? They never went through the back, the back door was locked all the time, so nobody could have taken anything out of the building or put anything in the building from the rear. Everybody went through the front door. So to be fair to Mr. Molina, who headed the committee, if the other members didn't have the time who were not available, we need to approve what he did and do the addendum when the testing was done. So anybody wants to make the motion?
Well, I acted the motion. My motion is going to divide the question, so be careful. My motion is to approve the committee as prepared and submitted by Mr. Royal with the other supporting documents, and that the acceptance of I consider this to be a contract proposal from Fleming Transport, because it said it confirms that set the store machines at a monthly cost of whatever delay payment or something else, a different issue. But to accept this is to this board to accept, based on his submittal to us, that we're going to pay him a monthly charge of $850. So, Clement Transport.
Okay.
So my request and my motion is to divide the question. First we vote on accepting the report, and second we vote on whether or not we're going to accept this proposal submitted to us.
Except though that I think Mr. Mullen made reference in here in his report why we ended up selecting the lower person.
I
That's
understand.
not
That's my point.
I think.
So if you want to accept the president's vote, then I don't have a problem with it.
So his report is clear.
Okay.
As to how he ended up where he ended up.
Okay.
But I'm just submitting to the board that there are two different issues. One, the acceptance of the report. Second, they entered into a contract with Clement Transport for storage. And I think that we should
So
separate.
you want to separate that from his report?
No.
Now divide the question.
Divide the question.
Dividing the question, that document is a part of the report that he submitted. So how could the report be divided in the question when in fact the machines are
Well,
ready?
the answer to your question is that if I want to divide the report as it relates to this contract, yes.
I don't think that is germane to dividing the question, because dividing the question is two parts. That document is a part of his original report as submitted totally. So we are not approving a contract. We are approving the report as he submitted it with that document in there. Because the contract will still have to be drafted up by the supervisor of election that we don't have, the deputy supervisor we don't have, and signed and approved by Mr. Will, and the chairman, and someone from the business office, and property procurement, and Mr. Clement, because no signature we require. So absent that remains a part of the report.
And none of those things can occur unless this board authorizes it to happen.
That's right, so the board will have to approve the contract when it is finalized. That is not a contract, that is a tentative agreement.
Proposal, right.
Well, make the motion, let's.
Proposal. And it was not part of the original document that I read.
Well,
I have to ask for it. I have no problem voting to approve the report as submitted. My only question is that we act on this letter, this proposal.
Well, I'm going to rule your amendment of the vote. If you take a vote, you're going to challenge the chair.
But he didn't make anything.
I thought he said he was making a...
You asked him what he was proposing.
Okay, well, he didn't make a motion, so
He
let's
didn't
move
make
on. Who's going to make a motion to accept the report?
I would make a motion to accept the report as prepared by Member Mullen with a consideration of separating out the portion of the report that reflects any agreement with Clement Transport in terms of monthly charges until such time as a contract is drafted and submitted to the board for approval. So
Motion.
Second.
Second is too late. Leave the next motion, please.
is it motion? Yes.
No, there was no second motion.
Yeah.
Is there any other motion? With Mr. Molina, that's what we heard, so.
No, you have to take a vote and the final motion to accept the report, Mr. Chairman.
Well, there is no motion to do. I didn't hear a motion to
But we
accept
still
the
need a vote.
We need a motion. I can't make a motion from here to accept the report as written. So any member here of the file besides me can make that motion, the second it will work. If you don't, you can't move on. The mother can make the motion, you want to get his report.
I would
Anybody can
like
make a
to
motion.
make a motion to accept the report before this committee to include a motion to add the Clement Transport, what do you call this? Clement Transport proposal to pay him the monthly payment in this report. I so move.
Second.
You restate your motion written down?
To accept Mr. Molina's report and the Clement Transport proposal. There.
Roll call.
Roll call, Mr. Delos, Brand,
Yes.
Roland Moylan.
Yes.
Lisa Harris, no any absent. Sylvia Aguilar, Rodeo Neal.
Yes.
Mr. Rupert Ross Jr.
No.
Mr. Glenn Webster, yes. Mr. Roy Raymond Williams.
No.
Mr. Chairman, we have 4 yeas and 2 no. One member absent and 2 no.
Motion passes to adopt the report of Mr. Molina and the information on the transport and storage of the machine. So approved. Another item on the agenda, we will have to pass the portion because the potential judges that work with the board of election before they're already next door with Mr. Alexa and co-worker. And the other item on the agenda was to address the letter from Mr. Alicia Wells, the joint board chairman. Everybody have that one letter? The July 21st letter from Ms. Wells to me. Basically, it's self-explanatory. We still haven't received a supervisor election and board, neither deputy supervisor. Those applications circulated to have a meeting, a joint board meeting to address the concerns. And we only had 2 members from the St. Thomas and John district that joined the petition to keep the meeting. We had 4 individuals, some over here, I should say, 5. Myself, Mr. Mullen, Mr. Webster, Mr. Neal, signing the petition that was dated 5 from St. Croix, 2 not signing, and 5 from St. Thomas and John didn't sign. Mr. Waterman informed me as the chairman of the district board, Mr. Thomas and John, he didn't see no priority in keeping a joint board meeting to address those concerns because the joint board of election and the system could wait until after August 12th, when supposedly Mrs. Fox would be on board. And I reminded him and Ms. Wells that since the joint board of election and each district would make a presentation on the district budgets on the 28th, since it had already been postponed to the 24th of July. Ms. Wells said she wasn't going to be in the territory. On the 25th of July, we received notice that she was not going to be in the territory again for the August 28th budget hearing, and she would submit her report electronically. We don't have a supervisor election on the title 18, that's the responsibility of the supervisor election. Since we don't have one, I am not the person to prepare the report, neither is Mr. Washington, so we'll wait and see when the time comes who's going to make the presentation, because if Ms. Fox is not on board on the 12th, on the 28th of August, then the joint board of election or election system budget will have to be presented by Ms. Alicia Wells. And I think that she's trying to suggest that since she's not going to be in the territory on the 28th again for the budget hearing at the finance committee, that somebody should leave. I'm not the one to do that. I can only speak for the board of elections. Because we prepare the whole budget collectively, put it together to be submitted. When that time comes, we don't have a supervisor. I understand that they prepare the election system budget. And it just figures, I don't see anything written to it. I'm sure you haven't seen anything different to it. You haven't received anything in addition from the office. And I know for the record that I saw letters from Mr. Clifford Graham to Ms. Wells, you, Mr. Ross, John Abramson, and Sharon Benjamin from a far back in March asking for the budget information to be submitted with OMB. Those documents have been around here and I got copies of it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, a letter to Mr. Rupert Ross, one to Ms. Sharon Benjamin as acting supervisor of election, Ms. Alicia Wells, and Mr. Watkins. I never received any notice from any of them, so all I was seeing is copies for Brian and Jennifer Brian. I was never in receipt of a letter addressed to me as the chairman of the district board, Ms. Johnson, to tell you because they were in contact with her, and she was referring to Sharon Benjamin, who was supposed to get back with them, never did. That's what the conversation was going on between the Committee of Finance budget analysts and Ms. Sharon Benjamin and Ms. Johnson. So nobody informed me about that until we took it upon ourselves, Mr. Williams, when all of us started to meet to prepare a budget.
Question.
Yes, sir.
The letter was addressed to me in what capacity?
I think it's a chairman. Well, but that is, maybe they never received or accepted the fact that they have a new chairman, but they wrote a letter to you. You haven't seen the letter?
I think, yeah, to be honest with you, I don't even.
Well, I have a copy.
I know I have no jurisdiction on the matter. So
I know, but
it came to me, I thought it was just a copy.
Well, I have the letter to you, Ms. Wells, Ms. Sharon Benjamin as acting supervisor, and it was not until July 25th that Ms. Sharon Benjamin wrote Mr. Graham telling him that under Title 18, Chapter 4, Subsection 8B, that is not her job, it is Ms. Supervisor of Election that we don't have. So I'm trying to find out how strange Ms. Sharon Benjamin, from March 20th, when she received that correspondence with this title, Acting Supervisor of Election, she called herself 4 months later that she was not that person, was to refer Mr. Graham to Title 18. So that confusion I didn't have anything to do with it.
Can I make a privileged request? Can I get a copy of that letter so that I can, and you don't have to do it now, I'd like to respond, telling you that I have no nickel in that corner.
Yeah, you said that opinion at that time. I know for sure, Mr. Williams.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I'm not going to press this well. Everything you guys explained and to the fact that when we did our working sessions, I was here at the last working session to discuss our local budget, but the district budget. But more than that, when the vice chair was acting, well, supposedly acting, she had made a request of me to try to arrange for the video conference meeting. And there was a whole bunch of communication back and forth. Subsequently, yesterday, when I opened an email from the chairperson, Ms. Wells, she also made the same request to see if we can have and host a video conferencing meeting to discuss the supervisor's budget, specifically on the 12th of August. So I told her I would attempt to do so that we can get that done, so that there's no embarrassment on the legislature floor or when the chairman has to present the supervisor's report. So, hopefully we can get that accomplished if we can get the date solidified between the 2 districts and meet to discuss the supervisor's budget.
So what you're saying is they want to have a joint conference meeting.
Go under the same working sessions that we've done to prepare the district budget.
Hold on, please.
That's what the HRS. Yeah, so hopefully host a meeting on the 12th, since we don't get on before the 7th until the 28th of this month. So I know you don't receive the email. I think Mr. Mullen started email. I don't know if any other members started, but that was yesterday evening when I responded to it. So just putting that out on the record that the opportunity is still there for us to try to ensure that we get an office of the supervisor's budget in place.
Well, in reality, in fairness, I'm saying again, I like to keep records of what happened. And as far back as January and February, Mr. John Abrams, who was still employed until May 31st, had more than reasonable and ample time to prepare the budget. I have presentations that he made before the legislature language as well. I have those documents. He never made any effort to tell us, through Ms. Johnson, to give us any information. We hear right now it seems that somebody want to pass the buck on to Ms. Fox. That Ms. Fox is really the one to take the file. She's not here. She ain't working. Let me finish, please. We asked many times to have a joint board meeting to address Ms. Fox being on board. I know that the government can process and hire anybody in the matter of 48 hours to prepare an OPA and have it approved on the budget. For some reason, Ms. Fox's employment is delayed and procrastinating and all kind of excuse. Mr. Watlington is the chairman of the St. Thomas St. John District, the secretary who would assist Ms. Wells. He's an attorney. his attorney to the Attorney General office to help prepare the documents for employment. We voted, 11 members voted to hire Ms. Fox. And if 11 of us, with the assistance of the Joint Chairman and the people involved on budget and finance and the Governor's office, feel that they can hold up the whole process, that's fine with them with me. But I am not going to put myself or set a hold or trap for Ms. Fox to be the one taking the forward. She don't have the information from Mr. Abramson, who been here from December to May 31st. And from then, if he attended it, and I'm sure that some of us who were sitting right here, when Mr. Abramson been here in 2011, he made a comment right, he said, they don't know me, I'll crash this fucking system. And I think that was his intention when he didn't do anything from December to May 31st when he left here, because the documents here speak for itself. He was notified in writing on budget from Ms. Gottlieb and from the chairperson of the Finance Committee. So what are we supposed to know? Hire Mr. Abramson to do what he was supposed to do? Or let the people know that we have a bunch of people among us they're not serious about this function, but want to get to dismantle something that they believe they can control forever. That's all it boils down to. So I don't have no problem with one of the people trying to find a joint board meeting. But for the record, I am not going to be here the 12th of August. And I am sure Ms. Fox won't be here either. Because until she have a document employing her with a salary, then we can't force that on this one. To prepare the budget commission. Benjamin already told Mr. Graham that duty responsible by law from the supervisor of election, we don't have one. So what do we do from here? We were trying to get it done. But Ms. Wells conveniently didn't come for the 24th, she was out the 13th. She wrote again, and she was here last week on the radio station, but she told us on then that she could be gone on the 28th again for the budget. So who should expect to do that? She's the joint chair. So we don't have a supervisor of election, and we're not making any effort in her own correspondence to move fast to get one. Then Ms. Johnson can be the one responsible to prepare the budget. Another Ms. Benjamin, but I understand that they submitted something to OMB for their election system. So when that meeting said it is the 12th, I am not going to be here, and I believe Ms. Lisa Mohead will not be here also, and I'm sure that Ms. Fox will not be in the 12th. I think I spoke to Ms. Johnson, I told you that, so I said they have done it before the 12th or after we come back.
You know, again, all of that diatribe is not what I'm saying. I like putting out to you and the other members here is information that's requested. What we decide to do, we can determine. If we can't make it on the 12th, fine. You know, all of that diatribe is unnecessary.
So you see, this is what
yeah, because Ms. Fox is not at no point in time did I say or allude to Ms. Fox doing any report or presenting anything. So I don't know how to comment about that. I'm ready to proceed.
I am ready to proceed, but I really don't appreciate the fact that you're referring to my factual comments as diatribe, because I will not refer, and I don't refer to none of your comments as diatribe. So if we don't be fair with each other, don't let us get to the diatribe, or the rest. My representation, anything I say here, I can have the paper and the document to produce it. The justice system right there, I have no need to lie and say. I will ask something that you tell me information, and as I get it, I will refer to it. That's all I can do. But Ms. Fox is not the person. She don't have an employment document. We selected this lady some months ago, and nobody can convince me, or any senator, whether O'Neill or anybody here, that it take that long to prepare an offer to hire the ladies. Ms. Benjamin reported Title 18, Chapter 4, Section 8, telling them that that is the responsibility of supervising election. We don't have one. So all those who was involved should have been able to convince Mr. Abramson to have prepared the record since Ms. Mohead, down in the State Party meeting, said that he was to work. He comes in the office at time to sign document. He been instructing the staff. So from December to May 31st, he had time to prepare the document. I can't be responsible for that. And I'm not going to force Ms. Johnson or force Ms. Fox in a position that they don't have the information. So, as a matter of fact, I won't let you see this, because they just got this letter here from Ms. Farrington. Malaka Johnson copied this letter. This is a letter dated July 31st. I got it in the mail, speaking about the money that they had reference to. And I didn't ask them what you saying, and finally She sent a letter from November 2011 to John Abramson again, talking about the money, an update. Again, Mr. John Abramson, November 8, 2012. Another letter to John Abramson, January 29, 2013, that's a month after he called and said he's still been employed. And another letter here. So, Ms. Johnson, I want you to make 8 copies of this and bring it back. And have you ever seen this? Come on, please, please. Ms. Johnson, have you ever seen that letter before?
I received this yesterday.
All right, good. So copy it and bring it to me.
Mr.
Yeah, in the mail.
Mr. Chair, before she leaves, that, I don't know if any other board member got it, but they sent it to me, so I have.
You got one? You got one? You got one?
We are
Okay,
new
so
members, you
bring it back,
have
sorry, but everyone please. See, that's really just talking about the being played.
New members
I
are
just
also.
know.
No, but I'm saying, I'm not a new member, but I didn't get it.
Well, they let her copy everybody. But I was the one that wrote in Gusty from over 2 months ago, asking about those information. I wrote the Commission of Finance of Election System Fund. I asked about the $2.1 million, and it was just yesterday. The letter I gave Ms. Johnson came to me by mail. Documentation, I like to deal with that, but I don't want to get back and forth over what is written and what is believed, because I know that I have the communication and the record where she wrote Mr. Abramson from last year, 2012, telling them when we were here arguing about spending all money that was appropriated to buy a machine. He acted like he didn't know. Take out Van Gaal December. Sick under the doctor's care until the end of May. And Mr. Abramson was serious. He could have provided this committee and this board of election that information. So why he kept it to himself? So that's how I'm saying. So the record is here, and that's how I'm dealing with it.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, can you move on?
Yes, ma'am. So you have the responsible wealth, and we have the budget that we worked on. I'm sure everybody have a copy there. Mr. Williams, Mr. Ross, you have it in your pocket? Okay. What we did, finally, we finalized the whole document under the heading, as usual, by law, it goes to the 20th Legislative Committee on Finance, and it outlines all the various functions. We're discussing additional funding, because we need to establish, as Mr. Williams was talking about, the teleconference. So we need to amend our bylaws, or have the originals amend our laws so we can save some money by keeping teleconference so we can vote. We can't vote for teleconference because our bylaws require that you be present at a meeting to vote. So we're even intending to keep a teleconference week and a joint vote. We couldn't keep it because the law does not allow the board jointly to meet over teleconference. So we included these things. We had Ms. Johnson and Ms. Fox again helped us out to look at some quotes to establish teleconference in our building here. So rather than going up and down and traveling, we can save some money for traveling and have our meetings over the video screen that you have in the consumer service and other agencies.
Mike?
Yes, sir.
In my understanding, the law talks about being present in person. The former joint boards have determined that using telephone, being over the telephone is not consistent with the intent of the law. However, the board can meet and determine that video conferences is, and I think it's an issue that the board policy needs to be made on the matter.
Well, we speak
And it will not
we
be-
don't have the policy.
I agree. I'm not disputing that. I was.
Our bylaws.
It's just a matter of us interpreting the law to say that video conferencing is complying with the law to be present in person. But we need to meet to do that.
At the appropriate time, at the joint meeting, we have a motion to do that again. I don't know if we're going to make a motion now that they recommend that it be done in the joint meeting. So we can entertain that if you want, or wait until the joint meeting to make the motion that we can have video conferences.
I think the very first action of the session, the working session is to do that. Determine the rules and regs so that we can move forward. Because if we don't do that, there's no, we're never going to, we got nobody going to money.
The records that they gave me here show a whole bunch of money on other places.
Well, he wasn't agreeing.
They have about silence for it. They revised the data and explained to me. I don't see them when they revise the data that any government, any budget director can take money that wasn't appropriated to spending. It's a different board.
Like I said,
and
it's
a different
different
committee.
segment, that's all.
Alright,
Again,
yes, sir.
if a joint board meeting is established over video conference,
Yeah.
the first action that we would have to take
Yes, sir.
is to authorize the
Right.
meeting.
Sure.
Then we can proceed with the rest of the agenda.
Yeah, we can do that.
If we fail to do that, then we just
Same
talk
place.
out.
Split session. Mr.
Can I
Chair.
come back to your budget?
Yeah.
I participated in the first working session, not in the second working session. Is there anything significant in this budget before me today that's different from what was in the first working session?
Well, some of it for professional services. As you know, we have upcoming training and demonstration in English and Spanish and English. We say about $8,000. Yes. What happened there is that since we have to inform and demonstrate the machines in public, Mr. Molina, in that capacity as the person that with Mr. Neal and someone else have identified, I think, 27 locations in St. Croix to demonstrate the machines publicly, whether it is in school, community centers, housing areas in the buildings, not in a very house, in a community center with the office, at the school complexes, east, west, north, and south. This will be done in English and Spanish with Mr. Molina and Mr. O'Neill and Mr. Weber. I think Webster, I was trying to Weber. Webster will be working around with anybody who want to work with that because we have to explain English and Spanish and the function of the ADA portions of the machine, the voting booths at the machine itself. So when we get to that completion there, the portion will be needed monies for officers to go and do the personal services, along with our intentions to have our own attorney. Because it comes up conflict right now, if this board finds it necessary to move to the court against the Office of Management and Budget, reapportioning or reappropriating monies for the $2.1 million that was done in advance of the bill, the board election system, purchase new machine and conduct elections. That money, according to the letter that just circulated, tells me that it's godly notified Mr. Abramson last year that they was relocating and using that money in various categories to balance the budget with shortfall. I didn't see anything in the bond issuance in the law that authorized them to reprogram the money balancing budget. That money wasn't, that $2.1 million wasn't borrowed in a bond to balance the budget. So if we have to move to court, which the board will have to decide what they want to do, then we cannot have any attorney from the Attorney General Office representing our position. That is a conflict of interest because we are asking an executive employee to represent the independent board against the employer. So basically that's what we got to do. We need extra money to the focus for our own legal counsel. And I think we had experience where they had to hire their own counsel one time because they didn't agree with the recommendation of the Attorney General. So if we want to be properly represented in any action, pro or against, civil or any way, we need to have our own attorney. They have printing and binding. You see the wrong.
Just to interrupt you. Can you stop in front of us?
Oh, well, I think.
I know you was answering this question, but
Okay.
you said two things about the professional services with training, and then you went to attorney.
Okay.
So, the $80,000 you're suggesting is supposed to represent training and
Yeah.
hiring of an attorney. So then what we have $76,000 on the training?
We'll pay that number.
On the same page, on the same category.
No, sorry, that was wrong. 76 training.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Alright, I know where we're not, I see here under the personal services, salary for $50,000
Yes, sir.
and all other additional costs. So far, grand total of personal services of 105. What is that?
The $50,000 was the way it is right now. We have an employee that works at DK on the board of elections. But the employee that works on the board of elections compensation budget have to work along and take instruction from the supervisor of election for election system that does not pay the employee's salary. So if you will have a person employed being paid under the board of election, the same employee cannot be obligated or take any instruction from the supervisor of election. That's a conflict here to me, because whatever the board needs to be done has to be done for the board. The board needs its own full-time employee under the board's jurisdiction, and for that same reason, that's what we have in place.
So, because as it is legislated and as it is budgeted, the district boards pay for the administrative assistant position.
Right.
This is the same position we're referring to here.
Right.
So we're just increasing the salary. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
For the administrative
Right.
assistant.
But we have to determine as a board that we don't have this employee under our jurisdiction full-time as opposed to the supervisor of election or any deputy supervisor or anybody in the system dictating and mixing upwards and arrange when it comes to full services to the general board.
And again, if I'm not mistaken, I think the design is to have the position under the budget, but the supervisor, as you said, comes under the office of the supervisor. Now, I don't know, I'm what you would correct.
That's the problem with this.
I don't know if we can unilaterally make a change. I think that may require a change to the code. I'm not sure, but that's a question that needs to be answered.
I think what happened there, if I recall, when they had the budget hearing some years ago, I think it was Senator John Baptiste allowed the budgeting for that employee to be paid for the board elections budget. And I don't see nobody in the right mind of a corporation would have an employee salary being paid on the corporation's budget and works for a shipper in another area of town.
I agree. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
For the
But the board of election
I would speak to that more than anybody else here.
the board of election has an authority to have the employee, because the board of election have employee or employers, and the people employ the board of election. The board of election jointly hires the supervisor of election, the deputy supervisor, except that the supervisor of election staff is hired by the supervisor of election. In other words, the ladies out front here that does the registration and bookkeeping and registration and taking pictures, they are under supervisor of election. Right in the original code, it tells you that no person except the supervisor of election is authorized to give instruction to its employee. So how are we going to be paying for an employee? And nobody in this table can instruct a person who is being paid that is under the employment of the supervisor of election. And it goes further to tell us that the board supervisor of election accept the recommendation, make the recommendation to the board for the deputy supervisor, even though the board may not agree. If the board agree with the deputy supervisor being selected, then that supervisor election is responsible for the function of his deputies and the staff that work under his supervision. I've seen memorandums from Mr. Aronson to the deputy supervisor, and he'll start to telling them none of them is authorized to speak to the meeting and take any instruction from any board member unless he authorizes it. So if he don't authorize or she don't authorize the deputy or the employees to speak to any of us that employs him, then something got to be wrong with that. As a matter of fact, I've seen letters telling them that I say I have those things also. So I have come here and asked information, and Mr. Aronson told me in front of Ms. Hatch, unless I ask him for something from this office, and he opens it, I can't have it. And that's public's not a job in asking for information for the past 3 years and then engage. So I want us to move straight forward or function. If we are paying for Mr. Williams to be an administrator for the board of election, his instructions come from the board of elections only. We can't pay Mr. Williams as an administrator for the board of election, and Mr. whoever or Mr. so-and-so said, look, don't mind the board, you are my employee. That can't really make sense. So basically that was intentional. And I'm sure we need to have it clarified. The law authorizes the board jointly or otherwise separately perform some function they need. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Well, I hear clearly what you're attempting to do.
Yeah.
But the law basically says contract, and unless I'm going to get to that in a minute. So unless we get the legislature to amend the law, to allow us to do what you want done, will be a violation of the law. The law basically says all employees of the election system shall be responsible to the joint boards of elections through the supervisor of elections. No employees of the election system shall report or take instructions from the joint board except through the supervisor of elections.
What that means here? Mr. Abelson been gone from here. Let me finish reading on later. Mr. Abelson disappeared from here December. And from December to this May 31st, I couldn't find Mr. Abelson to get a question here. Mr. Ross, you were present there. Let me finish on later. You were present to Ms. Capel committee. No, I want to put it on the record. When Ms. Capel had a hearing, when Ms. Mohed said that even though we had selected in a board meeting to bring Ms. Fox on in March, it has to go to the giant board, true that. But in the meantime, Mr. Abramson was here. He had the documents for the interest fund, he had all the coupons, he had everything. It was on 31st, whatever day was, he turned those stuff over to Ms. Johnson. The day before, he had Ms. Sharon Benjamin to sign the signature card for all accounts. From December to May 31st. If I or Ms. Wells couldn't find Mr. Abramson to tell these supervisors anything, me or you, depends on which employee feel like answering, they have no jurisdiction. And there's evidence of that. So the law, that law doesn't say that the board can't have an employee. It's good, it's silent. So even though that law says that the supervisor of election for the employee system, this is not the system, this is a board. Silent means that we have the authority to pick an employee, because we have the authority to pick a supervisor and a deputy supervisor jointly. But each district board, and you're not going to find it here, have the authority to hire an employee. So I'm not, if what?
If authorized by legislation.
It's silent. It doesn't say anything we can.
But
And it tells that we can. But I'm saying there's nothing in the law that says that we must pay for all the employees of the system. It doesn't say so either. So if the employee of the system are under supervision of the supervisor of election, then the deputy supervisor can't tell them anything either. So it is clear to me that since the supervisor of election controls the election system employees, how could the election supervisor control an employee be compensated from the board? The board budget is a different budget than the system's budget. Yes, sir.
remember, you said you
No, you let it finish, please.
and I'm not
know what title or subsection you're reading from, so.
section 4,
Section 4.
page 192,
Paragraph.
at the bottom.
The first one said this. If you
192, starts in 192.
You have a-
Okay, so right here, okay, I have it highlighted. Okay, go ahead.
Again, I hear what you say. I'm not going to get. All I'm suggesting to you that unless the law is changed, all what you say, in my judgment, we don't have the authority to do. That's my position.
All right.
Okay, and it is a position because this issue has been argued before the board, before the legislature in the past, that the board should be entitled to have its own employee, independent of the office of the supervisor, and independent. It's been argued before, and the legislature, in its wisdom, have never passed legislation to allow that to happen. So if you wish, I don't mind. I don't mind that, Joe. But I'm not running.
No,
I'm not debating with them.
In the audience, please don't make the comments. You can listen and smile.
I will talk with them afterwards because I love them all. But this is a board meeting, right? So if that is your intent, then somewhere along the line you have to get the legislature, in my judgment, not yours but in mine, to change the language to allow it to happen.
Okay, no problem.
That's all.
Well,
Until that is done.
So we can save some time. One motion is made for that post to be under our budget and employ this board to make the decision whether they want to wait or wait until the legislature. The legislature and that law does not in no way, shape, or form under Title 18 say that the board of election cannot hire employee. You just said the board of election is authorized to hire employee. We can move on from here because if they want to have it where the legislation will use the Board of Election as a puppet to have a supervisor of election manipulate the board's function, that's ridiculous. And that's how I'm saying.
Member Brian,
Okay.
you're gonna have your thing before the legislature, not me, all right?
So you see,
You will have your day, not me. I'm just expressing my position on the matter.
well, the letter C
As
was
it relates-
supposed every day, and the letter was to you. The letter I spoke about.
Anyway, can we move
Yeah,
on?
let's move on.
Trust me, I have no authority to be present unless I choose to be present. Okay, you have,
You should have raised this at Graham and tell them.
you as chairman,
Yeah, don't do that.
you have to be present or have to send a designee, not me.
I know, but only one of it. Mr. Ross said you received the letter from in March and February. You should have written Graham and said you are not no longer the chairman, the joint chairman. We forward this to both Brian, the chairman. And since you didn't do that, he still believes you're coming.
Yeah,
Mr. Manila.
that's his ignorance, not mine.
Mr. Manila, you have something to say.
No, other than, we're gonna move forward. I just want to put on the record that I realized that my document had typos in it, and I need to make those corrections.
Okay,
So,
We understand that.
But Mr. Williams.
Yeah, okay, on second page, under
Second page, sir.
other services, I'm back to professional
Yes,
services.
sir.
And the same argument holds true again, because I wasn't here for the working session, but the fact that,
Don't mind if you.
no, I mind it because, you guys said don't mind it, but it's funny, because they don't have a clue as to what's being discussed.
No.
But a lot of them, because like it's something funny. I'm saying, I wasn't here because I had a death in my family. No, because I'm tired of the nonsense.
No, because what
Okay.
happened
Alright.
is that you were not here in the previous
Right.
meeting, so that means we have to go back and.
Well, just
So
for clarification.
There we go.
Yeah,
clarify.
so the 80,000 for the professional services, we're creating a category for what? For the,
So
to create a position for an attorney? Is this what this is
Yeah,
speaking to?
because you remember that the legislation when Senator Richard and amended the election reform,
Right.
we had asked them to let us have an attorney budgeted.
Right.
But instead they put, you may
May
hire
have. I'm
a private
very
attorney,
happy.
but there was no funding if you choose to be made.
Right.
And that's what we get caught up with Mr. McCain, because we had to use other funding to pay his money and still owe him money
Right.
because members selected a private attorney. Had we had the budgeted amount for hiring our own attorney, we would not have been in a position where the Attorney General would have refused to represent you since you didn't agree with his position. So that's where we say, whether it's fight or not, since you use the word may, optional, since they put may in the law, then we can take our own attorney and
yeah.
contract on board.
And again, and this is an even greater concern, like Member Ross explained, the legislature, we can back and forth, but in my thought process, the attorney, again, being budgeted out of a single district budget, can only represent the single district.
I think
That's
this
what it
discussion-
was.
the concern-
30,000,
No.
of that 80,000 is for an attorney for the board.
For the
And
district?
Right, and other 30,000 will come from St.
What was the intention, I think Ms. Mohammed was here, we went back and forth,
Right.
was that they would be notified that jointly, that cost is shared between the two district boards.
So we were budgeting how much of this 80,000? 30.
Yeah.
30.
I said, Namas District is doing the same
They
thing.
would have to put
They have
that
to do
money
that,
themselves.
right.
Okay, but we had that conversation with them.
Yeah, but that's what we wanted to have a joint meeting.
I got it.
Good,
Good,
good.
good.
So it's not we don't hire an attorney
For
for
the
them.
district.
No, it's that
Okay.
jointly they would share the cost, whether it's on a contract or consignment or availability, because if we have an attorney and staff, then you have to retain much more money.
I'm not all the way there with you. I just wanted to clarify
Yes, sure.
that St. Namas is on board
No, that-
with that process. Because if they're not, then that's not rotation.
No, they know.
All right, okay, thank you.
And what else?
That's the only two things I wanted to
Yeah, we had transportation and travel.
Yeah, I'm pleased with how that from when
We had those other things, and basically that's what it is. So all has to be prepared from with the
narrative.
narrative report I'll get to Johnson, we got pending correction on most of this. What I think we need to do is, what you don't disagree.
Are we going to vote on this?
Before we go,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
in this budget, and I don't think it is, and next year is
Election?
election.
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
that
Yeah.
the money for the
That's what we're talking
elections
about
here?
here. Yes.
I'm sorry you raised that, because that's one thing we forgot at the first meeting that we discussed. The copy of that so-called supervisor's budget that we got that same day we were there, I think there was budgeted in there for a primary. Now, again, for further clarification, we need to know via the legislature, because if you read this thing and you read the thing back there, the annotated supplement,
Right.
it clearly says in, I think it's section 254, that the parties, quote unquote, has a responsibility of selecting a process and the board approving it. But it's silent on whether or not the board manages a primary. We've had this big argument, we've represented this. I think a year or two ago, the legislature in its wisdom put the money in. So the question now remains whether or not the plan is for this legislature to pay, give the boards a budget to pay for the elections, or are they going to hold fast to the idea that each party has to create its own nominating and selection process? That's very important, and that comes right down to your point. Because if they got money in budget, I care what nothing else said, we can't do it.
I think the laws was amended because each political party is responsible for conducting
Right.
their own primary
Selection process, right.
But I think Mr. Tony Hatch from St. Thomas, so, yeah, Tony Hatch, Mark,
Good.
he had filed a case against the board of election. I think Mr. Abramson, and that case been back and forth. I think eventually I think the case was withdrawn or dismissed. But that case, I am not sure.
That's correct. It was withdrawn.
Okay, so it was
But
withdrawn.
it still hasn't been
Correct,
collected.
Yeah.
correct, if I may. I don't think withdrawn is a proper description. It was deemed moot because by the time the case was heard
Time
before
has gone.
Judge Michael, the legislature had passed money funding the primary. So Judge Michael advised to the board and to the system was we need to clarify it once and for all.
Right. Because
Michael, is it?
I think Michael was
Dunstan.
Dunstan.
That's
But and then let me just read it for the record, because this is something I think that needs to be discussed as part of the narrative. The fact that it says the party primary election shall be held in the VI on the second Saturday of September for the purpose of choosing candidates for nomination to public offices to be voted for at the ensuing general election. The Board of Elections will be responsible for certifying the process to be used by any political party to select party officers. That's all it says.
Yeah, because
It doesn't
the
speak to-
political parties must have the process they want to select, and then the board is satisfied with the process, we certify what they select.
And this may not.
We don't say we fund that for the.
And I agree.
So if they want to keep a convention, they can go to the state or keep a convention here, that will be the process of a convention to select the candidates in the categories, or either if they have to have an election, they will ask the boards of election jointly to conduct the election at a cost. They can absorb the cost of we bringing in people to conduct the election on all equipment, because the equipment belongs to the boards of election and not to the political party. So that clarification can come from an interpretation from the Attorney General office or from the chairpersons of each political party telling us what processes they're going to use in selecting their candidates for the primary, and if we collectively agree with, we don't have no problem in the process of selecting your candidate, this is X, Y, Z they're going to do, we will certify that these are the persons that you have selected for your party to be the candidates for the primary, but then we come to the same thing with the compliance with the consent decree, because you have to have a date for all those things so that people can participate. So we must be in line through legislation with the consent decree to make sure that that primary is held within the timetable set out. So we must notify these political parties, this is the deadline that you would have to meet, for us to have, to be in compliance, that you would have a primary election in the proper time. So I don't have a problem with that. So.
But Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
going
so
back to the past, election, the Republican Party submitted a proposal for how we was gonna run our primary, not any cost to the Board of Election or to the government. And we never got a response from the board.
Well,
So,
what the way you can do is something to the agreement.
Well, everything she said is correct except the last sentence. The board basically responded to the state chair,
Mr. Hart or Mr. Shombo?
Mr. Sharma at the time, that in light of the fact that the legislature had funded the primary, the proposal that they submitted, which was very good and acceptable, was no longer valid.
So then you have to resubmit again for the next primary, Mr. Lado.
No, short of the fact that if the legislature amend the law.
So that, do we people it again?
Yeah.
Well, if that is the intention, we want to notify them at the budget hearing.
And that's why I brought it out to
That's
you.
why you brought it out.
That's why I brought that you may ask the question. So let them now deliberate on what they're gonna do.
Well, if they're gonna give them money when they already had a process without money,
So this
then we
is
will get some money
supplemental budget.
Yeah, but I'm saying, if they can supplement primary, then they can supplement more important
The budget.
issues, like the system.
and they actually agreeing to supplement the primary of the Democrats, because Republicans
that's-
never have 7 people to run in this.
I don't agree in supplementing nobody party this election.
Exactly.
People leave here to go to New York, California, all about to select a president when they can, and when they come back in. So they could pay for hotel, airline, food and transportation, then they could keep that money right here on the budget.
I agree.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, I want to make a motion, on the move that we accept the state budget for fiscal year 2014 as discussed. So moved.
Second. Objection.
Any objection?
Yeah, I
You
object.
want to put the objection to the record? Mr.
Yeah, my objection is basically has to do with the budget request to transfer the personnel from the current status to the proposed status without any change in law.
I don't think that you clearly state what we're doing in this. Only we're talking about is that we, the Board of Elections for a district, will have its own.
I understand it clearly.
Yeah, but I want to make it clear again.
No,
Own
I don't
employee-
need it. My vote is no based on what I said.
So,
Let's
Anything
move on
you
with
said.
it.
but I want to put it that, I don't think you can make a
But
difference.
there's
So
a
let me
motion
finish,
on the
please.
floor, guys.
I'm saying, when we finish the board, address the concern. Roll call, there's no objection, right?
Yes. Mr.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Ross, roll
Let me
call.
state it.
Roll call.
Second, it was second?
Yes, it was.
Move the second.
So that was then Brian,
Yeah.
Roland Molina.
Yes.
These are his Moorhead, and Ian Abelardo,
Yes.
Luca Ross Jr.,
No.
Glenn Webster, yes, Serena Williams.
Yes.
General has 6 yeas, 1 no, and 1 absent.
Hold on. Which six?
6 members.
Six.
Hold on, hold on.
Motion.
The 6 of us right here, right?
It's 5,
Five.
1 and 1.
5 years.
Yeah, 5 yeas.
Change of 6. So.
5, 1,
yeas,
1.
and 1 absent, 1.
5, 1, 1, right? Okay. No. What are the statements are us? All I'm saying is that it is awkward and inconsistent or inconceivable to have an employee of the supervisor of the election system being compensated on the budget of the Board of Election, which is in fact separate and distinct. The supervisor of election budget is way bigger than the budget of the Board of Elections in St. Thomas and St. Croix put together. The supervisor of elections budget, the documents that I've been looking at is over $1 million+. And the documents that I circulated here shows various accounts encumbered, millions of dollars in other areas that does not belong to the board. We only have access to election system fund of appropriation of federal funds. But the budget for the board of election has to have its own employee, and that is when the time comes, the board, all of us here with Ms. Moorhead, The member will make the decision if this board want to pay for an employee that is not under the supervision, or rather under the supervisor election. In the absence of president, can they take for the employee that we are paying for without us having an input? That's all I was trying to say. But we can move on.
It's clear, member.
Okay.
All right?
All right, thank you.
Just make it based on the legislature. That's all.
I don't make it appropriate, but I think it's
No,
Wait, here in the middle.
I don't make it that time.
Anyway, Mr. Williams, any other motion you want to make? What I need to know though, I'm having Ms. Johnson, if I have any objection, I'm having Ms. Johnson outline the amount of meetings we had for the year, whether we're joined, whether we're kept, a district meeting, special meetings, what we did as far as the machine being located, what we did in the budget to improve the financial funding for the purposes, and all those various correspondence
This is part of the
in the
narrative.
narrative for the cover letter. So the budget will be submitted to the legislature as by law, and the copy would go to all senators, and OMB can get their copy to appropriately being compliant with statute.
Can we get paid by this Thursday?
You know,
Been working
hold on a minute, before we already have not been paid, and we were waiting until we had a certifying officer. Ms. Johnson is not a certifying officer, she's just a facilitator, right? So all Ms. Johnson has done thus far, and up to now, is prepare the documents of compensation. And Ms. Sharon Benjamin, since she is on the certifying officer's card, is the Commissioner of Finance, she now is that person from the 30th of May to certify all payments or whatever it is. Ms. Johnson cannot transfer money from different accounts, but she has the authority according to the signature from the Governor's Office and the Commissioner of Finance and OMB to certify payment for all these documents. So Ms. Johnson, when she comes in, she can tell you that she has the documents to be submitted. And that's what Mr. Abramson told us the last time he was in, let's say that he already paid up to the month of June for like utilities, right?
Yeah, not both, not both.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I want to...
And before you go to another issue, can we as a board pass a motion authorizing you to certify our payment documents for the purpose of having the process?
Well, I already signed it. They already signed it. I saw the pen at the meeting.
Oh.
Because I am not in the signatory card.
Oh, they need it. No, they need the other one. I
Yes, sir.
apologize. I stand corrected.
What was it?
If I could have done that, you can look.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
How long do you think you will need to prepare the narrative?
Well, I will work on it before the 21st or so.
So can you,
Yeah, I'll get everybody a copy.
electronically, so we can,
Well, I'll bring it
review
here to Ms. Johnson to get into it.
Okay.
So if there are any things you want to add to it,
Right.
the final distribution, then we can make the appropriate thing without having a meeting for that.
Right.
If each person wants to put the narrative forward to recommend to be included in the cover letter, we can do that. But I don't think we need to keep a meeting just to add or remove something else.
Meeting note.
So,
Mr. Chairman,
when Ms. Johnson, Commissioner, okay.
Mr. Chairman, before we move on, and we were talking about parties and funding, I am looking at this letter from Mr. Benjamin, State Chairman of the Democratic Party, April 16, 2013. Can we discuss that? Because that's the same thing.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said he sent it to the swell from April. I didn't see it this month.
I know, I'm just seeing it myself.
Yeah, I don't have to be sent to people.
You got it?
You want to see sent to you? Well, April 21, so I'm saying, I know I just see the judge, just give it to me today, and I saw it. Everybody.
So what he's asking is for us to let him know the process, and I think if we tell him now, and also the Republicans and whatever, that they have to run their own election, primary election, they should be ready.
But saying, member of the Lado is that Mr. Benjamin is making reference to being compliant with the law. My passion on his own. All he needs to do is have the meeting with his
Territorial Committee.
territorial committee, the attorneys and territorial committees from the Democratic Party, right? The attorney general is a Democrat.
Yeah, but he's not the party.
Oh, well, but any attorney from the Democratic Party side that is talking the statute, you can share him with the letter that you submitted. Mr. Ross said they didn't use it because they already had gone ahead with the primary. So we can't address anything to Mr. Benjamin other than what he has already asked for.
He also asked him for a meeting with the joint board of election.
Well, I can schedule that. The joint board meeting have been scheduled between the executive board, which is myself, Mr. Mohan, Mr. Waddington, and Ms. Wells. Since the letter was written to her, she should be the best person to let Mr. Benzema know what time and place is available to meet with the joint board to address his concern.
And wait, no,
Okay, one second.
Are we going to discuss the ADA report that was submitted by the committee that you assigned for the?
Yeah. Sure.
That's not
administrative
the agenda.
That's not on it.
But
In the agenda.
It's not, but can we?
I saw, sure, I saw it in the document.
Can we get
Oh,
the
they
agenda?
read the tape,
Can we
they change.
revise the agenda to include it?
Yeah, do you want to discuss it, or?
Yeah, my.
I'm just ready to make a motion to accept the report.
Accept it?
Yeah, we sure was, we collaborated on it, so.
That's the regular thing, really.
Oh, we need to get the signature. What is it?
you're talking about this document.
Yes.
That was my only,
Change the,
thank you.
change the last page.
That was my only concern. To the report.
Correct.
Exactly.
This is the last page of our report.
You, Mr. Rhodes.
It is.
So you want me to change the last thing? No, I just
That's the last page didn't have anybody who submitted the report. So
Sign it.
we amended and signed it today.
No, we just signed it.
You have one of these? You have one of these, don't you?
You applied for the report?
Yeah.
You make a motion to adapt.
To accept it.
Well, take it, don't
I
stop.
think I can do that, because I participated. I mean, it's up to you, do what you want to do.
I agree.
You have a copy of the report, please?
Yeah.
The ADA.
You want one?
Yeah, take it, when it makes it up, someone
What's the little?
You need my copy or something?
No, I haven't.
Oh, no, it's a big one, you know.
I have it ready.
Just change the
Yeah, I
last.
have it, the last page.
Yeah, just change the last.
It has everything.
It has no signatures on it.
The last, it now has.
That's what we submitted this page.
The signature page.
So if you want to address the ADA, I hear the same crap. I feel that much of it.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the report from the compliance report from the ADA committee as presented before the district board. So,
Trying to catch up.
I want to say last of my lot of obsessing about saying here a second, who second?
Madalaro.
No, point of information
Yeah,
before I
I need
second.
here a second on the motion.
No, I need a point of information.
No, but
You get a second now.
yeah, second, then point of information.
Mr. Chairman, is it appropriate that two people who did the report can make the motion?
Absolutely.
First and second?
I don't-
Absolutely, it's a subcommittee.
I just want to make it
It's
clear.
absolutely acceptable.
It is appropriate because the chair put my signature here saying that's what happened.
Right.
So what is the challenge to treat you who signed it?
Which I think is fairly.
Everybody's Williams, and the last and the name.
Correction, Mr. Chair. Once we approve it, once it's challenged, then it becomes your bill.
That's right.
But that's okay. We would have the vision.
I will do the delivery of the daily, the daily function and.
We want to be.
Right.
That's it.
Father and mother and auntie, all I did this.
So here no objection to that?
I guess so, for being present. And before we go any further, Ms. Johnson, what I was saying, if you could prepare for us, I listed the amounts of meetings, we had the district board meetings, joint board meetings, special meetings, and what we did and sort of those meetings. And you can give it to us, and we can put a cover letter, as a draft of the cover letter for the budget.
Okay.
So we'll put that together and
We got rid of both of
we
them.
can circulate it to other
This is
members.
already approved.
So they'll be able to review it, to see if they want to add it, if anything, when they have special meetings for purposes. You have to release the whole agenda
Right.
with the fine points of what the meeting were.
Right.
No objection.
And for the record, Mr. Ross and Mr. Williams and everybody here, Ms. Johnson, have you seen this before?
I received it in the mail yesterday.
This is the first time you see it.
Yesterday.
For the record, no.
What
This
is
lady
that?
has came to
I'll say look at it.
No, I know, I want it on the record because
What is that?
I ain't gonna allow nobody to tell nobody anything else to do with this, you know. So I'm saying, I don't see no document here sent to Ms. Johnson. I saw them sent to all the board members and district as in question. And I saw Mr. Amos and all of them. And like I saw the letters to Mr. Ross and Mr. Invention and so. If they ain't read Ms. Johnson, nothing. Ms. Johnson is responsible because Ms. Johnson can tell you, I instructed them, any letter coming here that they're going to chain of the board, all of them will open the table copy. Is not so, Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
All right, so I don't keep the information from my book. If this lady just signed yesterday, I get it. It means just the same thing. So.
Since Mr. Chair, since you're talking about letters, is it possible?
what?
About
Letters
Yes, sir.
in general. Is it possible that when such letters come in and after you have basically accepted them on our behalf, that copies be sent to us? Because sometimes, first time we see a copy of the letter is when we come to the meeting.
Sure.
It's when I get them, I can
I understand. I'm just for the matter.
So, Ms. Johnson, when letters come in, make sure that, well, I don't have an email, I got email. Make sure that all the members get a copy.
Well, again,
Yeah, you made
after you have.
So I don't have to read the question. Once you got down my name for the board, I'll be like,
It's your call.
yeah, I don't care who read it because they for me and Jerry, my journal. The letter comes to us, but by the chairman of the board. So anybody on the board is responsible to read what I read. Right there? No, it's important, Jerry, then I will move it. I don't want anybody to know the spirit of them.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
we don't have any training this afternoon or
No,
tomorrow.
not training.
I don't have to be here tomorrow.
No, you just, the ladies are just there to explain the machine. They're inspecting the system. So you can go in and watch and test, but they ain't really train.
Okay, so
But
we
we
don't
have to
be here
decide,
tomorrow.
if the road is really, we need to decide among ourselves, what is the earliest and latest date we want the people to come to train members and the staff. Because I don't want them to wait until too close to election to come and train. They want them to be here maybe after Thanksgiving or before.
I think when we had discussed this a couple of months ago, we already had a plan in place to move forward with. I guess the training definitely needs something for the years out, for sure.
Well, we need to, anybody have objection to that, some, then it's,
Alexa,
excuse Alexa, no, because they have,
I think you need to put that in writing.
yeah, we're good, but I want to make sure that the
What's
board
in
members
the
here
business?
have
I'm amenable for the training to happen in December, early December or mid.
Early December?
I said mid-November.
Training in December.
Well, look, whatever I am amenable. It's,
Miss
as long as it's October 5th, okay?
Excuse me, please, Miss Morrison was saying that she wanted not to start early or too late.
Right.
So not too late because she was believing that the training, some of the people might forget. But I said that we don't forget things so easy here to show us the right thing. So the longer we practice what we train to do, because the staff have to be trained and the members that we're working with the machines have to be trained.
And then we have to go out in the community and
Right, that's when some money
and
is coming.
demonstrate to the community.
Well,
So how much time
and
do we have
as a
to
part of the demonstration, when we are doing that demonstration process, we can start out using the tape. But after we do the training, we can record the training
Expand.
and use that again as follow-up training.
So that's how we do it.
And when we do the training, when the questions come up, we take that same information and send it back to the SNS to answer the questions. And trust me, there's going to be a million questions.
Because they have in their contract,
4 days, yeah.
$40,000 of travel.
But that includes election day.
Yeah, of course.
So keep that in mind. Wrong election day, need to be after like a week. Alright?
So, you finish, you leaving, you don't have no concern, Mr. Williams.
No.
Don't turn around.
Training is first weekend in December.
First weekend, so we agree and accept.
In December, I'm not.
So, Mr. Neil, what happened?
She's agreeing, and she's not, I can't speak. We agree that the first weekend in December is a bad time. First week in December.
You realize that if there's any problem with the machine that has to be changed, nothing in that system can be changed without the ESC certifying the application to change, even to change the screw on that machine. So if something goes wrong with this machine, within a deadline, they can't bring the machine and use it. So I don't want that to happen. So we need to be sure that they have completed testing and that we have the training done appropriately within a reasonable time, that we don't have a confusion and saying, I can't use the machine because we had to send them back. Or there's something wrong.
Can we do it, can we do it before Thanksgiving?
Hey, I could be available anytime.
Are you available before Thanksgiving? And then
I
we
said,
can do it.
first week of December. Anything that,
December is in December, Thanksgiving. Tell the Christmas, she said with Thanksgiving.
no, I'm saying that I'm not available the first week in December. You want to do it before Thanksgiving, before, in October, it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay, so you can't be the first week.
That's correct.
Anybody here have a problem?
Yeah,
I have a problem.
my only issue is, with the demonstrations, I will have.
We've been doing that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I'm gonna have everything done, hopefully by this, by August 14th or 15th. I have to travel August 17th, and I won't be back until September 11th. So I'm just letting you know, but I will have everything done for the demonstrations, all the legwork.
But that week of August 13th to the 17th, some people are going to the conference.
Good.
So
Then no
there's
problem.
nothing gonna happen here.
Okay.
So we agree on before Thanksgiving?
Yes, well, I'm
Yeah,
only one vote.
I'm good.
After Thanksgiving, you would gone, we going to December. You have to be here. Mr. Molina, Webster. Webster? Okay, what to be sure. So since we have no further discussion, you got your chain of custody document?
Yes, I do.
Okay, you just have to bring
I have it right here.
Go.
Does the board want a copy for its archives, for
Well, when you get
one?
my preference, a chain of custody required the folks who had the chain of custody last.
Understood.
So if you pass it around and somebody takes it over and you get it in the wrong hands, and they say that something is missing, then you're responsible.
And so,
For the record, since I inquired about it, I just wanted to see what it was, so to see what it contains. So when I have to look at it 6 months from
Okay,
now,
each.
I could see what it is.
Right.
But I don't need another piece of paper, trust me.
So I'd like to thank everybody for coming this morning and enjoy the meeting, so the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.
Chairman, you didn't give the public the 10 minutes.
Oh, sorry about that. I apologize for that. Anybody have any comments or concerns before we leave? Hello, go ahead and leave them.
I think it's already adjourned.
I'm saying we can still talk. I didn't hear.
Yeah, we can talk, but it's already.
But I'm saying, if they're going, that was my fault. I apologize for that. But when we are here, you can still be entertained to listen to what you're
Yes,
saying.
but it's off the record.
No, you're not running. If you're running, the set, don't tell them, the team's still running. You might mistake by your joining. If you have something to say within the 10 minutes, then be free to ask a question. Anybody have something to say now?
Yes.
Well, please tell us.
I want to commend you with regards to the board having its own employee that has no ties to the supervisory election. I don't understand how member Ross could argue against that, because he being a former chair, should know that he has to have somebody that is responsible.
He's saying he tried to do that before and.
Yeah, but he
he's
need
like,
to be
No,
under
we
because
should
the law.
We shouldn't be discussing Mr. Ross because he left.
No, well,
But we, the new board, feel that we have seen problems in previous board, and that's why we are correcting it by requesting a staff to work with us.
yeah, that's what. It's something that I've always suggested, even though I've not been on the board, but I can't see how, based on what I read in the code, how the employees of the supervisor be the same employees of the board. So I commend you for, and you've got to be innovative.